Hello and welcome back to my craft room. I'm going to start a new slow stitching project today, and I've been very much inspired by Tori over at Kool Kooky Kreatures. Some of her slow stitching projects are just so inspiring. Let me first of all show you a quick look. So for some reason that didn't record the first time I did this, so I've just gone back on again now to give you a quick look at Tori's channel, Kool Kooky Kreatures. It's so much fun. You can see that she, I think a bit like me, she does all sorts of different things, lots of slow stitching and art things and other kinds of crafts, and I'm going to have a lovely time now I've discovered her channel, binge watching and catching up on a few of these. But what I'm looking at is this, here we go, she's making these lovely little stitched pieces, and I really like the laid back way she does it, and it's all sort of very easygoing and intuitive, and yeah, I'm really looking for it. Mine's going to be quite different from this, but I'm going to kind of use her methods. So yeah, so check her out. I'll leave a link to Kool Kooky Kreatures in the description box so you can check it out at your leisure. What I really need is a little needle case. I've been meaning to make one for ages, and I want it to be not just for needles. So at the moment I've got, you know, a couple of different little sewing baskets and bags and things that I can use, but sometimes I just want to grab my pair of scissors and my pins and needles, and I've got little things like this that I think earplugs came in these originally. So I've got my needle threaders and different sizes of needles, but it's always hard to find the one that I want. I end up sticking them into the one that I'm using into little scraps of fabric like this. That's actually for crochet. So I've got two kinds of needle threaders. This is the little fine kind of normal one for normal thread, and this one's really good for embroidery and things. Right up to one like that I was using for bookbinding the other day. So I want to make myself a nice needle case that will also hold a few pins, possibly a tiny pocket for a little dinky pair of scissors like one of these, and perhaps a pocket to put in little cards of thread, so that everything I need is in that little thing. And I'm going to make it a bit like I've been making the art journals, I think, but obviously much smaller. And I just think one of those little kind of appliqued slow stitched pieces that Tori's been showing would be perfect. So I've got out some of these fabrics that I got in one of the scrap packs from Bazaar, which are all reclaimed Indian fabrics. Let's put those that way. So they're silks, cottons, very few synthetics. You get the odd few synthetics in there, but it's mostly silk and cotton, all different weights. Some are very fine silks like this, and then right through to heavier. And there's something you can see, yeah, so there's cotton here with a bit of showing elastic in it. This is just one of the bags. This is mostly silks in here. I tend to split them up, but there's a few other bits as well. I mean, look at this. That'll just make a journal wrap just as it is, won't it? I just need to line it. Beautiful. So I've got a bit of a mishmash in here somehow. Normally I've got them split up, but I think I must have had these out for a specific project or something. So before I forget to mention, if you I'll put a link to Bazaar below. I think they're brilliant. I love Bazaar. I love what they do. I love the ethical way that they work. They're just, yeah, I'm just a huge fan. They haven't sponsored me to say this or anything. I just love them. Anyway, so Joe, the owner of Bazaar, has agreed to put a little extra treat, a little surprise in for any of my viewers. So if you want to order from Bazaar, when you're checking out, at the end that you can put a message in for the seller. Just put Arty Farty Annie treat, and they will put a little surprise in for it. Just be something little, and it's going to be a bit random because they don't have massive stocks of anything, so it'll just be, you know, it will depend on what they've got around at the time and on what you've ordered. So if you do that, you know, I think they're lovely anyway, but it's always nice to get a little extra something, isn't it? So don't forget to do that if you make an order. Also, don't do like I did and forget to get the free postage. If you order over £30, just put Bazaar free postage. There's a promo code. You have to enter it at the time of checkout, and then you will get free postage. I forgot to do that, let them know, and they put a little treat in for me to make up for it, so it's really sweet. They're just such lovely people, and I just love what they do, and I love what they sell. and if I could go and live in their shop, I probably would. Anyway, let's get back to what I'm supposed to be doing today. So these are just a few, this is quite random sort of bits here. I can't remember why I've got this particular mixture in this bag. I've just grabbed a bag. So what I want is, I also had these out of another one of my bags of Bazaar stuff. I picked out these two because I thought I wanted something. I think I'll use this as the base of my, I'll cut it so it's all one uniform rectangle. On the camera it looks very blue. In real life it's much greener. It's a very greeny blue, very pretty colour, kind of a peacock blue, peacock green you would call it. So yeah, I want to be able to fold my little needle bag round and around and tie up, just like the art journal wraps I've been making, but smaller. I will probably need to incorporate a pocket or a loop somewhere to put the cards of thread in, but I can add them later. So I'm going to keep that as my background, definitely, because I think this will go with whatever colours I want to pick. And then I just want a few pieces of silk. Now I could be using really tiny scraps for this, but actually I've done quite well at using up some of my tiny scraps just recently. Look at this one. So this came like this in one of the scrap packs. I'll try and remember to leave a link to one of the scrap pack unbagging videos so you can get an idea of what you're getting, and they are brilliant. I've done a couple of humdinger opening videos of those if you're interested. So this one again, this could just be worked into a journal wrap in its own, you know, as it is, couldn't it? And I could just embroider into it. I was thinking I'd use silks, and I thought what I'd grabbed was one of the bags of silks. Love that, it's so bright, it looks nice next to that colour. Oh, look at this. I think I need some of that. So this is an example of where all of these so far are silk, but this I think is some kind of synthetic. I don't know what it is, but it is so beautiful, and if you lay it over another colour it shows through, which I love. Look at that, so beautiful. So although it is synthetic, it's really nice synthetic. Right, okay, I'm thinking I quite like this colour combo going on at the moment. And I might also, I've got lots of ends of ribbon and things as well. I might see if I can use some of those up in this as well. Look at this piece. I would definitely be turning all of these into either journal wraps or book covers or whatever, and I'm starting to get to the point where I've got enough journal wraps and things now. I'm going to start, and I've made a couple for friends as well. I'm going to start, I'll carry on making them, but I'm going to start putting them in my Etsy shop, so I'll let you know when that happens in case anybody would like one and doesn't actually enjoy stitching. Like it used to be some exotic bikini, I don't think for a second it was. I'm just wondering if I could manage to incorporate a bit of that. I think I probably could. Okay, I feel like that I don't want to overwhelm myself with too many bits. Oh, that's pretty. I've got a lot of mostly pinks and greens, golds. I think that's probably enough of them, and then oh, should I have a little bit of black as a contrast? Yes, let's put that in. And I'm just going to stop the camera a minute while I dig out some of my ribbons. Okay, so I've had a bit of a dig and I found some more bits and pieces. So this was for my general kind of mayhem of a ribbon box, which somehow I've also ended up, I need to have a sort out, I've also ended up throwing some tiny scraps in. A lot of these are, I dug out some different colours of thread while I was at it. A lot of these are ribbons and things also. From most of this actually has all come from my Bazaar packs, nearly all of it, with some exceptions. So this didn't, this came from a shop in Walthamstow. I love it, I'd like to be able to incorporate a bit of that. But this was scrap bags, these were all scrap bags. The sari ribbon wasn't in the scrap bags, but it did come from Bazaar, and I love it. And I could just use tiny, especially where I've got little, some of these are quite short lengths now, like that, tiny pieces. I could make into little patches little snippets like that obviously I couldn't bear to throw away, and that's probably why it's ended up thrown in with the ribbon because I didn't know what else to do with it. But even that tiny piece could be used, and what I'm hoping is that I can do it just the same way that Tori has done, where she doesn't turn them under or anything like I've been doing with the Kawandi quilting. She just cuts patches, puts them on with tiny rows of tiny running stitches, and then does blanket stitches and things around the edges so I'm hoping I can work in much the same way. I might find I have a bit of a problem with the silk fraying, but I think I might quite like the look of that anyway. I love that colour. Again, this colour is just not, it doesn't matter what colour I put on, because I can change this light, whether I put cool or warm light on it, it's just not coming up. It's much greener than it's looking to me on camera. Might be different once it gets on YouTube, I don't know. So I've got all of those. See, that piece is, there's not a lot I can do with a small piece of ribbon like that as ribbon or as a tie or anything, but it would make a lovely patch, or I could turn it under and use it as an edging on a pocket inside or something. So I'm going to keep those with me. I love this. I'd love to be able to incorporate this. And then you get other doodads and things in the scrap packs too, so you know, things like this. And this is too big to have on a needle case, but I'm just thinking there might be some little tiny doodads that I could, look at this, I got an A in one of my scrap bags last time. That's a scrap bag thing, you see, that could go a journal wrap or whatever. Yeah, little things like these little stuffed birds and things, that might do to finish off the ties on my little needle wrap. Even tiny bits like that I can use, so that's good. I've got a couple of these left. Oh yeah, look at those. Oh, that colour. And these also, all scrap bag things. Little elephants, yeah. You always get a few kind of doodads in there, you know. So when I come to sort of decorate and add all my decorative stitching and things, that's where all of this can come into play. So I'm going to put all of my threads and doodads in there. Excuse me, still sounding snotty and a bit croaky. Just can't seem to shake this thing off completely. Little mixed bags of buttons and beads and things. Also scrap bags. Well, that's a felt bead I made. So put all of them in there. I think I'm just going to keep all the ribbons with me. And things like, yeah, again, this was scrap bags. You can see where some of this has been reclaimed from old clothing and things. It's a really, really vivid, deep pink, this. I wish I could, I'm hoping that at the end, when I take a picture of my project at the end, it will show the colours better. And it's got this button. Obviously it was a waistband or something. But I could incorporate that into the thing that wraps around to the closure. And even these tiny pieces like this. So I'm not going to, let's shove all that to one side a bit. I'm not going to need that just yet. So where's my, so this is going to be my base piece. And then I've got all of these bits and pieces to play with. So I guess the first thing I need to do is to cut this to roughly my finished size. I think what Tori did was she just left the edges raw. I need to watch her second video to find out how she then finishes the edges. I've still got a couple of sleeves there. I've been using my husband's old rugby tops up as the sort of interlining for the Kawandi quilts. So I've got the sleeves left on this one, so I reckon a sleeve will be just about right to do my to fit my needle case. So that's going to be the, because it needs a bit of a padding to be able to put the needles into. Okay, I'm going to have a bit of a think. I'm going to lay this out and then I'll come back and show you my next step. Okay, so I've had another quick look at Tori's videos, a quick peek at the second part as well, which I'm going to catch up on watching while I start on this in a minute. I've also raided another big bag of scraps from Bazaar, all kinds of cotton fabrics here, to find this lovely raspberry colour piece. Again, So the colours are so much more vivid in real life. So what I'd forgotten was that Tori did actually put a piece of felt behind her piece. So there's a piece of felt, then the sort of cotton backing fabric, then she patched on top of that. And then what she did was, to finish the edges, this just happens to be an offcut that I had, which would be perfect for this, so I'm going to keep it to one side. And she stitched all the way along there, turned it round, and then finished it at the back, so kind of binding the edges. And I thought that looked lovely, so I'm going to try that, and I'm going to make sure I don't lose this piece because it would be perfect for it. Also some of the sari silk ribbon would work for that too. So I'm going to do mine slightly differently. I think what Tori did was she did that, finished it, and then put an extra piece of felt at the back just to finish everything and tidy everything up. I'm actually mostly just going to do small running stitches, and I'm happy for them to, I like when they show through at the back, so I'm gonna do that. I think I'm already rethinking as I'm talking. What I've ended up with at the moment is that piece that I showed you before, which I want to be the inside of my needle book. The reason I briefly paused there is that I thought, although I love the look of the stitching on the inside, is that going to interfere with me using it, putting needles in and out of it? No, I don't think it will. I think it'll be fine. So stick with my plan. So I've got that. I've got the piece of John's old rugby shirt sleeve there to give it a bit more padding. So that's kind of instead of the felt that Tori's used. And then I've got this quite thin, so thin I can see my hand through it, cotton. But I thought that way I haven't got to cover every single millimetre of this. If a little bit shows through, that's fine. Whereas if a little bit showed through the rugby shirt, it wouldn't be so pretty. So now I'm going to use lots of, in a way it's a shame to cut into these big pieces, so I'm going to go for the smaller little scraps that I've got first, and I'm just going to cut little squares and rectangles. Oh, I've just dipped that in my coffee. Nice. I'm just going to take little squares and rectangles bits. It's a lovely way to use the smaller pieces of sari ribbon, little tiny snippets like this, and I'm going to lay them all out on here. And I think what Tori does is quickly tack them down so they stay in place, and then start doing more decorative stitching to properly anchor them in place. I might not stick to squares and rectangles. If I've got a piece like that, I'll probably just use a piece like that, and I quite like it when little bits of seams and edges show like that. So yeah, I'm just going to enjoy patching it together. I really hope I'm going to be able to bring this in somehow. But I've got so much here, there's no way I'm going to use it all, is there? So yeah, it might be that these first bits of silk that I picked out, I will decide it's a shame to use them, but if they need tidying up, I could do that. Okay, so it's going to take me a little while to go through this. I might use a bit of this that I've trimmed off for my backing piece on the outside as well to bring them together. These tiny bits like this, that's cotton not silk, doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to patch all this together. You probably don't need to sit and watch me doing that, and then I'll come back and show you how I'm getting on. But really, to look at the way to do it, the best thing is to go and watch her Tori's video, because she explains it a lot better than I am. And I'm kind of butchering it anyway. Okay, back in a bit. Okay, so I've just finished. I've finished having a lovely time arranging all my little scraps and things. I've got some little pieces of ribbon cut that I'm going to add in as I go along. I've done it a bit differently quite a bit differently from how Tori's done it. If you want to go and see the proper kooky method, go and check out Tori's channel. I will definitely leave a link to her. So I think what I'm going to do now, I've tacked these on with big stitches through my 3 layers. So now I'm going to use my embroidery floss to do little neat rows and rows of neat running stitches back and forth, and as I go along the way I'm going to do it, because I'm too lazy to go and iron these pieces of ribbon as much as anything. As I go along I will stitch these on as I go. And then once I've got them all stitched on, it will be time to go in and add the decorative stitches, blanket stitch around them and things like that. So I will probably take that downstairs and do that this evening, and I'll come back and show you tomorrow. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed that. Do go and check out Tori's channel. There's just so much on there to inspire you. Like me, she just seems to do a lot of different things, stitching and art and all kinds of interesting, inspiring ideas on there. So I will see you again in a couple of days when I will have at least finished stitching all these pieces on and I'm ready to do my decorative stitching. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I'll see you again really soon.